And we're back with the Quake Pro League, where we're getting ourselves warmed up around the campfire before, we start to scoff ourselves full of our third game of the night, which should actually be a bit of a belter. I know you're pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to be excited right now, especially for what looks to be a EU player moving into 4th position on the global leaderboard. We just saw the schedule here. We've got Coollerz versus Raisy coming next. We've got Wenger playing later, who's also got a chance of getting himself into top 4. I was hoping we could call up the global leaderboard so that we can kind of examine how that's going to go. Thank you so much, production. So Coollerz at the moment is in 4th place with 59 points. And we've got Wenger 57, Raisy 56, then Base, who's on 54, who's certainly in contention, but is on a bye week, I believe. Those other 3 players I've mentioned now, it's getting super tense in terms of who's getting the wins. If you get a 3-0, that could be enough to give you those chances that you really need in order to get to that top 4, which guarantees you a quarter-final position at Luca. So whoever you're cheering for, if it's Coollerz, Wenger, Raisy, you need them to get their wins in now. And with Coollerz having such a good track record versus Raisy in Season 1, you would expect him to be a favourite here.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. The fact is they're really not that far off of each other in terms of points, and this is them going to be going head-to-head here, right? They have a free split, not a free flea split. He was with Ketchup earlier. But, in terms of their actual games this season, so this is going to be one that will actually break that. They physically cannot have an equal scoreline going forward.
And what Wenger is hoping for the most is he really wants Raisy to get a 2-1 victory versus Coollerz. That for him is like the ideal scenario. It will put Raisy slightly ahead of Wenger on the global leaderboard, but only till his match starts, basically. So then he knows if he can get that 2-1 versus Tox, or even a 3-0, he has really got good chances to get himself over to those quarterfinals. But you know what? That's if the planets align for him. The planets could align for another of the 2 players. Hopefully I've contextualized the severity of this situation.
Because it's a big one. That was nice. That was a strong fist bump. You dented the table.
We need some table mix as
well.
My
goodness. What, a crowd mic for the table when you start slamming it mid-game? That'd be ridiculous.
That's as much emotion as I'll show.
Well, let's get on to someone that does make everyone emotional. He's definitely a name that you're going to be familiar with. A very strong individual player, Coollerz. He may be able to keep his cool, but he definitely heats things up on the server.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes I've doubted this man, and he always seems to prove me wrong. The guy can be an absolute beast. I wonder how he's going to be approaching the game today, because he's been having a pretty easy ride versus Raisy. If he takes it for granted, things could go wrong for him at the moment. Because the last map that they played together, Raisy got the win, but the 5 previous Coollerz won. So it's going to be very interesting. I think Coollerz knows he's got to be flexible with his game plan, and he can't just assume Raisy's going to do the same thing that he did for those 5 games before the last one, which I thought was the most interesting one of the lot from Raisy, because he actually started changing up his game style. Didn't seem to, use same-size-fits-all approach.
I don't know. I feel like Coollerz going to go into this pretty damn dominant, just as an individual player, but his opponent can definitely put up such a high level of presence on the server. Raisy, the God Slayer. If there's a better opponent for him to have, it would definitely be someone that is a living legend, a god that Coollerz by every means is. Raisy, though, can he show up today? Is he able to give us that stupidly strong level of gameplay that we've come to expect?
Yeah, and God Slayer, the kind of concept, began in a match they had earlier this year. It was Coollerz and Raisy. Raisy won a grand final, which could have been a double best of 3. He won it in 2 maps where Coollerz didn't even get a single kill. And so this is where the kind of ideas have come from. Obviously, he's also beaten a whole lot of other gods previously, but that kind of cemented the idea. And I feel like I haven't seen Raisy at a peak for a while. This is a guy who I've been pretty much inspired by as one of the newer people in Quake as a whole, getting these unbelievable results. He's a LAN winner as well. I want to be excited by him once again, and I think if he manages to get a win today, this is going to be really amping me up for Luca and being curious to see what Raisy's capable of there.
It's one of those as well, where this is literally the last week before the final week of Stage 1 before Luca. If you can get wins here, it puts so much pressure on your opponent's shoulders because you are the one that just has complete confidence going into Luca. It's going to make your life so much easier walking into that LAN. But let's see how easy his life's going to be in terms of the vetoes. As we do have the picks and bans, who are you favouring based off this, Zoo?
Well, Raisy has got BJ versus... well, okay, actually, I want to guess what Coollerz going to be using on Corrupted Keep. Galena's out. It's going to be Aizen. I'm 99% sure it's going to be Aizen. Clutch has been banned by Coollerz, which is the respect. Boom! He's right
well
again.
Done. Whose champ is it anyway?
Molten is interesting, actually. I really don't know how to take Molten with the Ranger versus Sorlag. Both champions kind of interesting there. I think Ranger's a little more conventional than Sorlag. I think I'd lean towards Raisy there. Blood Covenant can go any way. And Corrupted Keep, I think I would lean towards Coollerz, personally.
It's got to the point now where when I see a Blood Covenant game and it's literally like the vintage just, you know, standard matchup at this point where it's Visor versus Nyx, I've started to now favour the Nyx more in those situations.
Nyx is my favourite champion on that map, actually, by quite some margin. I think she's so much fun there. I think you can have a diverse strategy. You can be really scary with how you use your Ghost Walk, but you've also got that sort of safety net. And on a large map like that, you maybe have a few other alleys that you can go down and hide for a bit while you collect those hourglasses and so on. And obviously the movement passive as well is so useful. Yeah. I just think she's awesome to use there. But then we've got some really, really strong Visor players. It's never entirely clear-cut, but yeah, I feel like Nyx just a...
It's one of those where it feels like she normally just edges it out. Yeah. Like, in terms of the actual use of the kind of cat and mouse gameplay we have, where it's Visor using his ability to try and track her down versus the Ghost Walk, the Ghost Walk just feels way more useful, as the Visor's so situational, whereas Ghost Walk can be used in a numerous amount of ways. It feels like it just gives you a much more of an edge.
You can definitely get countered hard sometimes, but it's, you know, unfortunate timing. However, we've got a map that's starting, and they already seem to be going against each other. Raisy did manage to get the heavy somehow? That was weird. But he locks it down. I think he's going to get himself double major items. Coollerz just waiting for this. And Raisy spots him out and it's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're doing. First 30 seconds, got to say, it's hugely profitable for Raisy.
Wow, yeah, the sidestep after picking up the Mega to get the shot off was really, really smooth.
Whoa, he's going to die.
And that's even better. Oh no, the Sorlag's bit with the damage over time.
There's the 225s were just taken by Coollerz, so... Raisy had nothing that he could heal with, and considering how good the first 30 seconds was, he's not going to feel very good about that because his rocket engagement certainly could have been stronger.
That is rough. That is not the way you'd want to go down there. A split of frags. That's definitely going to leave a smirk on the face of Coollerz though, but that will wipe it clean off. The further attack from the Sorlag Spit's going to be coming out, but this time it should be negated. Raisy will be able to dispatch it by picking up the 25 bubble and then getting away. So normality restored.
Yep, and he's going to have heavy armor. This is a nice string of plays possible for Raisy. With a couple of seconds until the Mega, there's no Acid Spit at all to work with. Coollerz going to rocket himself. Coollerz actually doing a lot of damage over here. That's very, very surprising. I really think Raisy should have been hitting a bit more. He's going to get himself to 100 HP. Going to avoid the Acid Spit and try and go forward. Has a rail, has an orb, tries to fake it out. Oh my god, he almost goes off and he's gonna die to the spit twice. What?
That is crazy. The fact this has happened again so rapidly. It's actually got to the point where it's quite rare we see those acid kills even that commonly into the matches, but the fact he's got two in a matter of seconds now, and nearly the ring out as well, and now he's looking to add himself just a normal frag with the LG as sparks are flying off in every direction from the recently deceased corpse of Raisy, as Coollerz has the advantage.
To definitely feel something up with Raisy's aim. I think that's why I kind of lost that sort of spark that I was talking about, that I want to feel again moving towards Luca. His aim just hasn't been that crisp, and it's 3 acid kills now for Coollerz. You usually hard pressed to see that across like 2 or 3 games, let alone 1 in the first quarter of the time.
There's going to be no Ranger left by the end of this series. They keep burning into him like this.
Is this going to be one? Raisy needs to execute this, eventually does, but there's definitely a small concern for a moment. He's definitely got a Raging Q on this one. And it's...
Oh, there goes
realised.
the
It's just the acid damage, man. And he's been getting a lot of direct globules too, Cooler that is, which has just been increasing that potency.
Flick up on the rail. Dire Orb initiation, but Cooler, he is just slamming through him with a rocket so easily there.
It's actually caught the LG. Very, very sudden from him. There's going to be heavy in a moment. Raisy. He's really fortunate that Cooler doesn't have any more rockets there. It allows Raisy to get onto the item. He'll be able to get Railgun now too. Cooler's stack's not going to be too bad after this mega health. And Raisy misses the rail. He had to hit that if he wants to sort of keep that pressure going.
Ooh, the prediction with a spit. Straight into the LG conversion. Raisy has just been melted in more ways than one there. All of the elements going against him. It's not working out well at all. Goes in with a Dire Orb, but that just sends him in to set himself up on a date with the Coroner.
This poor timing, which allowed him to die there. The orb plays nice, but only if you get it right on time for the heavy armor spawning. Otherwise, it doesn't really mean much. Raisy's going to have to get out once again. Looking for those vertical rockets, back through the teleporter. Cooler has got his number. This is Raisy's map pick as well, I'm pretty sure.
He's been picked to pieces, certainly though, Zoot. And there's another one. The killing spree for Cooler, which doesn't even really give it as much prestige as it should have. He has just been overthrowing in every possible scenario here versus Raisy. The timing's going to work out well, but the Dire Orb will cut him ahead of the queue that was forming for the Mega. He snatches it and retreats.
And Raisy needs to set up now for the heavy armor. Is he going to find him? He surely won't walk through the choke point. There's no reason for him to be there. Does deny a light armor though from Cooler, which isn't bad. But 5 kills to regain.
5-minute warning.
Sneaky Cooler strikes again. And that's really good for him, because he takes no damage, he gets all the information. He doesn't do much damage, but as far as I'm concerned, that's totally fine for Cooler. This is less fine. He should be dying here. I don't know. Raisy can't afford to let him live. There's 225. Still, Cooler might as well be a dead man walking right now, but now he's actually finding some resources where he can feel his pulse again.
Ooh, actually the confrontation's coming right towards him though. That's the suicide, as he will take himself down in that duel there between Raisy. 4 frags making the difference between these two men at this point in time. Oh, the love tap! Trying to knock him over the edge, but luckily he was able to float his way back to safety.
I was a little close for a second, but yeah, as you say, with the floating, with the air control, you should be absolutely fine. There's going to be the acid out. This time the LG's hitting a bit more, but there's just not enough stack for Raisy to get anything done. I mean, I wish we could see numbers for how much damage is done with the acid, because I feel like it's been pretty much astronomical. Raisy's stack, once again, looks good now. And he needs to be able to, he needs to get some clean fights. I feel like every time Raisy's in a fight, if he's getting the kill, which, you know, he's got less than half of what Cooler has, he's always so wounded afterwards. There's some nice pressure, and this is the kind of clean kill that he really needed. He invested a lot into it, including the ability, but cleanliness is what counts.
Yeah, that was quite clinical. It's going to work out a whole lot better for him. He forces Cooler back. He has been able to secure himself at least the Mega, and he's close over towards the Heavy. But luckily enough, the movement works out way nicer for Raisy. Prioritize going over there. He now has the stronger stack, but his timing's a little bit off if he wants to try and play around the Mega here. He's still got 10 seconds to kill.
Yeah, he's hoping that Cooler will come back and take a look, but he didn't really have confidence to go into the rail room because he doesn't have that orb, and I think he's relying on that extra burst of DPS to kind of get him a little further ahead on the board. Well, he closes the gap, that's for sure, and he's going to run into some acid damage. And Heavy's now spawned. The direct chase continues, And this is going to give plus 100 armor to Cooler.
Ooh.
Good rail. He's going to meet him again. Actually chases all the way. Rockets are not too bad. It's going to be a mutual frag, however. Cooler is the one to finish it. And he'll spawn back over at the railgun. Raisy does get an okay spawn with Mega.
Raisy might have got the Mega spawn, but Cooler was the one to get the better weaponry to play with or slay with, depending on if he's able to give himself an opportunity to fight against Raisy here. Raisy coming close. He would have heard that audio cue. Cooler starts to reposition, listening out as the heavy has just been snatched from right underneath his nose. He does have the acid spit, and he's a fair amount of time to still work with as well. But Raisy's the one that has to take the fight here. Zoop talking in the battle. They both go all in. Headstrong, they're going to take each other on. Cooler, scared to death. He's scared to look. He's shook as he backs off, goes up the jump pad, and tries to get out of there.
That's some good dodge from Cooler. Trying to avoid that extra damage. He did so much damage again with his acid spit. Even getting those awards to tell him that he's landed at least 3 globules in a row. That is a lot of DPS to be doing, and this should be another cleanup for Cooler. He's going to put himself onto 10. And in my mind, if it wasn't GG already, it's certainly GG now. It's turned out to be a really good pick for Cooler. I wasn't expecting Sorak to be quite as effective, but I really think Raisy's aim is to answer for a lot of it, and it's going to be one more acid spit kill for Cooler.
You can literally attribute 4 kills entirely to the use of the acid here for Cooler. I think it's 4 we've seen. Yeah. Which in itself is ridiculous when you think about how many we normally see per Sorlag spit. Pick, even. Oh!
Tasty.
Absolutely delicious.
Now, Raisy's he's been struggling. This is again something he's going to need to be ironing out as he gets towards LAN. But the case is, you know, how many excuses do we give for some players to say these guys are going to be great there? Raisy normally is good at LAN, but he's not got that same level of concrete evidence that someone like Avec has, who I was talking about earlier. Raisy's going to need to turn the heat up because he was so good at QuakeCon. But he also had a really good lead into QuakeCon at the same time. And, that is going to be GG. 13-6 for Cooler. This is starting to look similar to what we've seen in previous matchups they've had versus each other. Is Raisy going to be able to switch things up sooner rather than later going into map 2?
Well, that is going to be more of the classic stuff served straight up to us, of course. It's the Visor versus Nyx game.
Yes.
Which really is a bit worrying because Cooler showing that display of strength. We go into that second matchup, right? If he's actually able to play a very strong Visor, which we know he can do, we're going to need to see some astronomical plays from Nyx.
And Wenger is really, really, really praying that Raisy gets at least a map because otherwise it's very difficult for Wenger to secure himself top 4 on global leaderboard. So he's praying right now, and he would be playing from home territory in Luca. So if there's anyone else there who wants to see him play that home advantage from the quarterfinals, they need to be gunning for him as well. But I know that Coolers fans are in huge crowds generally, so they're going to be happy the way things are going right now.
Yeah, this is definitely one to rattle the cage a little bit and rile up all the boys back home, get them excited to see how well he is playing, as that is a very strong initial performance here in the penultimate week of the Quake Pro League at Stage 1.
It's that dodge again that we see from Cooler against Rockets. He somehow manages to kind of just fake out opponents where you seem to just overcompensate your aim. You think, like, I'm going to read exactly what Cooler's going to do. Oh, I keep missing. Oh, and I keep missing. Cooler, that's one thing. I talk about accolades that players have and we're like top 5 in the world at certain things. In my opinion, Cooler's the #1 dodger in the world. He's just so exceptionally good at it.
He's a smooth criminal.
He is, and if anyone's trying to pick up dodging, I'll just study VODs of Cooler and just see how he tries to approach fights, because there's these small kind of micro movements into larger movements that play off these fakes, which can be really confusing to go against.
One of the plays that I did like and would like to highlight there as well that you just witnessed before, where we saw the sneak up, the slow walk in from behind from Raisy was very nice, because we saw throughout the entire time of that, Coollerz spent a lot of his time essentially when he would stop and he wasn't moving to try and listen for the audio cues. If you look into a wall where you roughly think they're going to be, sound is a little bit louder, because that's just the way sound works in a lot of various game engines. If you're able to have a rough idea of where you think they are, fully focus into a wall and look towards them. We saw him doing that, trying to isolate where he believed he was to get the audio cues and figure out what part of the map he was in. Instead, we saw a complete slowdown of movement. Nothing came through from Raisy. He just snuck up the whole way behind, got the drop onto him, which is when he went in for the full commit with the dire orb to finish him, which was a really sick way of dealing with things. But we're already back in.
Let's do it. Let's get into this. We are on Raisy off the beginning. He's got himself rail early on. He's going to be seeking some other weapons too. It'll be LG first, and Rocket definitely needs to be ticked off the list. No drama early on, no kind of protective games at that weapon, and it looks like actually, if anything, it's going to be Cooler that runs into that. He'll have rockets himself. It's such a difficult rail angle to hit, yet somehow Raisy lands it. He really wants to pick up a kill. This is just very difficult to overcommit. He's going to take this angle because Heavy will be up next. I'm trying to be a bit sneaky about it. LG is exceptionally good. First blood for Raisy, and Wenger is just cheering in the background going, come on, Raisy.
He's going to be living it right now if Raisy can keep this up. Bear in mind, this is the second map here, so of course we still have a whole lot more to go. We're nowhere near this series being over, and if it's anything like the first map, it's definitely going to be exhilarating. The rails are exactly that, though, as he hits 3 of them in a row.
Why didn't we have that in Molten? Just why? Just someone explain to me. There's going to be another hit. He's going to go into the LG. This is going to be a spawn kill. Just about. Was a little scary for just a second. And there's going to be Heavy straight after. This is just a fantastic rotation for him. And he still lands the rail, almost flicking onto the follow-up. He'll ghost walk out because his health is low. He's going to move away from that health bubble because that one would be a bit obvious, but that one was also obvious. There's the predictions coming out. Don't doubt Cooler.
Now that was sick. And this is going to try and give him even more of a lead, though. Raisy. It's overthrown. Coollerz just able to dissect him with the rockets, leave him lifeless. It's just a mere husk on the ground. Now wants to make it even more electrifying as the show-stopping plays are absolutely shocking from Cooler.
The Raisy highlights kind of ended a little bit prematurely then. And I think Raisy was a bit naive to think that this health bubble was also going to be safe, the way that he was approaching it. Good rocket. The jump across is scary. Somehow there's a mid-air and a follow-up rocket from Raisy. That is disturbing how all that played out.
If we wanted a high-octane follow-up to the first map, this is definitely what they're giving us. Already, a ridiculous amount of kills traded between these two men that are going into it with a blood feud against one another, Zoot.
I think Raisy knows that the piercing start was there. He doesn't know exactly when piercing start was popped, so he just held a few seconds longer to ensure, okay, I'm not going to be at risk again. The way the plays continued has been very good. But it's like, seriously, you hitting these rails, man? Wow, cool as rail shots right now. Raisy just needs to hide a little bit. There's no light armor just yet, and being railable, it's scary. Raisy's going to be having great respect for what Cooler can do, and he's around the corner! Oh my god, that could have been the frag. Raisy gets return fire. He has the heavy armor afterwards, so it goes in with the LG. There's one really good rocket. He can health up here and move into a fight again if he wants to, but there's so much respect given to Cooler, and I always wish that he gave that much respect over on the last map. What a closer. There's been a lot of action in that little spot on the map. And see, right there off the spawn, what Cooler did, he just moved towards the banana again, because that's not the obvious play off the spawn.
Wow.
Sorry, I'll let you talk again, Jackie.
No, it's fine. This has definitely just been taking our breath away. Like, the sheer amount of ludicrous frags we've already seen at this point. We haven't seen anything like this in quite some time, Zoo.
Rocket jump up, love this. Oh, the movement's just a bit off, but he'll find him and poke him in the backside. Trying to get the right weapon out. Machine gun would have been a little more optimal.
Crazy! come on, raising hell right now, like Smoking Joe Fraser, the Hellraiser, as this man is living it large with the flavour. Wants some more damage as well. Back in with the LG. That'll be the rocket going down. Cooler, inches away from his demise. He sets himself up for the rail as he guns him down on the steps.
And that all went to plan on this occasion for Raisy. We've had some slip-ups earlier from him, but he seems to be pretty invulnerable. It's been non-stop action, though, for the last 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Everything's been going on constantly. Heavy machine gun, flawless there for Raisy. And he's trying to secure it now. This is a lot of frags to fight against the Knicks, who can slow the game down to a snail's pace if desired. And yeah, Coollerz falling flat on his face.
It's crazy, just how wild Raisy is looking now coming into this second map. Uses the Ghost Walk to try and get himself into a better spot as he advances back over towards the bridge. He wants that rail, and he is going to be able to scavenge it. He needed it as well, because he has just been so ludicrously strong with it, but the lunacy might actually come from the Rockets instead this time around. Has the lower stack. Cooler pummeling him, leaving with an inch of his life, but it will not matter as he still comes out on top. The Rockets will annihilate Cooler. 11 frag zoot.
It's just making me think that I want sort of Wenger to update us with like a map-on-map kind of thought process of his emotions. Because after first map, I want kind of the scared, concerned face. This map, I want slight elation. I want the follow-up again to change.
Give him to like live tweet the map results with just emojis.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the way.
Get on it. If he's out there.
He's probably practicing for his map, actually. He's his match, versus Tox. He's going to be really serious about the result for that one. He knows how much it matters.
Raisy is looking so serious here, though. This man is not a joker in the way that he has been playing this map.
I'm going to react quickly there. Has all the sound cues that he needs. He's a little bit low at the moment. This is a bit sketchy. If Coollerz using Piercing Sight, you're just done for there. That was, again, as I say, the sort of naive play from earlier, that was also assuming that Coollerz wasn't going to peek. You had to know 100% sure, categorically, that he does not have his ability up, and there's no way you could have known that then.
We're over the halfway line, and Raisy, he really is ruling this one with an iron fist. He has just had complete dominance in a good majority of situations. Cooler looks to try and go for a chance to dethrone him, but the miss on the rocket jump suit, that'll slow him down. He could have projected himself into a good spot there.
Really classic Cooler, missing his jumps. And there's 2 rails in a row. In my opinion, right there, that's actually where you could say it's a GG. I think it's such a steep hill to climb now that Cooler not only needs to play perfect, he needs to see a number of mistakes from Raisy. And even though we've seen a couple come out, it's not in the amount of quantity that Cooler really needs.
Uh-oh, no, surely not. Oh, not like this, man. It's just not appropriate.
I think Cooler just let it happen. He used his Piercing Sight and saw what he was up to, and he's like, yeah, he's right next to me. I think I'm gonna die now.
Just takes it on the chin.
Yeah, I respect that too. That's okay. Oh,
wow.
That was a rail right there. Oh, it misses a little step up, but boink.
Somebody needs to stop this man.
He's just what is it? Duck shooting, goose shooting, shotgun goose.
Skeet shooting? When they shoot the pucks, skeets. They shoot them in the air.
Kinda,
the clay. No.
I was thinking like the animals version. A pheasant killing, shooting, shotgun. Shotgun shooting.
You alright?
Pheasants.
Pheasant shotgun shooting. We get an ambulance for Zoom.
Oh. A little bit risky there. I'm very surprised how dominant this has been for Raisy. It looked like it was going to be one of those another sort of barn burner games after the first 2 minutes when Coollerz straight away made it back.
Oh, man.
But Raisy's just when you think that Raisy looks a bit down in the dumps, he's got something else to just show that's not the case. The last map's going to be super fascinating. Just the overall standings, is Raisy still going to have a chance? If he loses it, Raisy's chances to get to top 8 automatically are whittling away pretty fast, I dare say. If he wins it, it's still a possibility based on the result between Tox and Wenger.
It's the fact as well that both of them right now have 3 wins. One of them will have 4 at the end of the next map, because at this point I'm already going to say this is done, right? There's no fundamental way that Cooler can get back into this. 12 frags in 60 seconds, like, come on, this is not going to happen.
Indeed.
The third map, though, that is going to be just absolutely wild. I think we've what have we got? We've got an Eisen pick for Cooler versus Raisy's. What is Raisy bringing out?
BJ. We've got BJ.
BJ? Oh man, this is everything I could have ever asked
It'll
for.
be fun, and both of these guys always have great corrupted keep games. It can honestly go either way. I've talked before how it is Raisy's keep. I believe Raisy won. This was the map that Raisy won last time they played.
I want to agree with you. I'm pretty sure you're right.
And he's somehow managed to just rescue that claim to fame with the map, but it's also, I'd say, Cooller's best map. So it's a really, really tough one.
Well, this is cheeky.
This is just going to be him sat on his throne as victorious of this map. And the 16-4 scoreline, that's more dominant than what we saw in map 1 from Cooler. So the drama continues here. 63%, 2.4k damage with the railgun from Raisy. That is a lot. That's the kind of stats you expect from a Nyx.
Yeah, that was literally like 101 vintage Nyx affair coming through, which is just sublime. It's literally like the callback to the old school trailers just to promote the game. Some of the stuff he was doing there is just not achievable. It's just like, how is he getting away with this consistently? He's a human aimbot.
I think I've rarely seen this level of damage on a rail from a player. I'm trying to think. I think there's been only like one other time, and I think it may have been Coollerz versus Rafa at QuakeCon 2018. Something like that. It might have been elsewhere. And yeah, it's just, how do you go against that?
You love to see it though. Like, it gives us so much, especially for the viewers at home as well. The level of just unreal gameplay coming out from Raisy here, showing that he's
that shot there. We saw that
playing so strongly
on that time, and getting the view from Raisy's point of view, that was pretty sweet.
It has been sick. This third map suit means so much between both of them.
Between both of them and between other players too. Yeah. So it's everything's up. I think now Wenger's settling down a bit, knowing that only one of them is going to get 4 points is probably giving him a little bit of comfort, knowing that if he can get 3-0, everything's fine. But for these players now, I mean, they're both gunning for the victory really, really hard, because the win can... I mean, I think either way, they could still be up for contention, but that's the difference between needing to get a 2-1 in Week 10 or a 3-0, or just not even being able to get it in order to get to the quarterfinals. So it's alleviate any kind of stress, which is going to be impossible to alleviate all of it. Get the win in now.
Take some weight off, though.
Yeah,
you know, remove that 10 kg weight vest.
Exactly.
Light yourself up a little bit, so it's not so hard going uphill. But it's going to be a struggle. This third map is literally everything to play for. It does come down to the difference of the win. One of them is going to have 4 wins on their record. One of them is finally going to have 4 losses as well, and it's going to throw a spanner in the works in the global standings.
Yeah. Are you willing to predict this one? I think I said Cooler was going to win it at the beginning, just based on the champion pick.
You going to stick to your guns?
I don't know now, because now I've just seen Blood Covenant. Things have spiced up quite a lot. But there's no rail, and half the damage that Raisy did was with the rail. His LG's not looked great, and BJ does rely on LG, I think. Yeah, I'll stick with Cooler. I think I'm going to stick with Cooler.
All right.
With a 50.2% chance to win.
Normally, in this situation, like, I would have favoured Cooler, just off, like, for historics alone.
Yeah.
But for the point of it, for this being the third map and being kind of a decider, I'll split against you, and I will go for Raisy on this. Also, just because I'm BJ biased.
50.2% as well? Or?
All right, yeah. we'll go for that split. But we're in Raisy versus Cooler, BJ versus Eisen. This is what it's all about.
Well, Dual Wield is out already, but I think Raisy should probably think of getting out of there. It's insane how close he's so strong in this position. He almost wins the fight, but he absolutely had a chance to get out of there, and just trying to slow Cooler down so he could maybe get an easier heavy armor afterwards. I think he just picked up his old lightning gun. He did, actually. He's going to be able to get himself heavy and possibly apply some pressure to the Mega Health afterwards. Cooler goes through the teleporter, and he's kind of stuck here now. Raisy could even consider going through if he wanted, but he probably knows that there's a turret waiting for him.
Oh, this does at least actually open up an avenue for Cooler to get across over towards the rocket, but it won't matter as the rocket is quickly taken away from him. Even his entire life has been snatched away from him. Raisy not doing too cleanly on this follow-up fight though, Zoo. He's down to 42 HP. The Akimbo comes out to play! He gets him down to 4 HP, but he can't kill him!
So Coollerz going to heal up a little bit this side of the map. There's going to be a mega health for Raisy. He'll have the lightning gun. He should have the HMG, so it's a bit of a duel going on there. And there are nails behind if Raisy wants it to get rid of the turret, but it looks like he's done it anyway. Cooler gets another 225s. Raisy maybe trying to kill a little bit more time. Raisy should win this fight eventually. Lot of HMG duels going on with perfect timing for the mega health. Sorry, the heavy armor coming up now.
Oh, the double LG. This is a pain train in itself. And it is going to pull straight into the station. First class there for Raisy as Cooler is left behind in coach.
Feels bad for Cooler.
It's not ideal.
Oh, he's dropped him off completely. But I really feel like Cooler's hitting slightly better LG, and he's going to get the machine gun to work with 1 health this time.
What on earth?
He's going to find a way to get half an HP soon, I swear. It's been that close between some of these fights.
How has he turned that one around? And the 1 HP survival, it was 4 HP the time before. Oh, the re-entry with a super shotgun.
He's just dual wielding with whatever the hell he can get his hands on now. He doesn't even care. It's just something.
He just wants a war.
He has to respect those now, so he can't push through the choke point entirely. And he's trying to see, okay, is he going to push for LG? Can I get a bit of extra damage? No, he's not done that yet. Now I've really got to think about the heavy armor. It's up in 1 second time. He can try to deny it. He doesn't, but he does get the damage, which makes that effectiveness totally reduced from Cooler. So it's been a pretty good play. Even though Raisy didn't get the heavy armor, he definitely got the better end of the stick there.
Raisy with the rocket, trying to blow the toes off of Cooler and make it cheaper for him to buy shoes as he chases him. He does have the dual wield ready to pop. In an instant, it's at the click of his fingertips. He's getting him quite low. Not too much HP left to play with at all for Cooler. He's timid, doesn't want to expose too much of his body as he tries to skate himself along the bridge, and it looks like he might have gotten away with it.
Oh, that was dangerous. I know the ship has sailed already, but there was a play at the rocket light armor before, which is very sick. It seems that Raisy is having perfect timings on these light armors too, because he managed to deny some good stack from Cooler. I think Cooler's played really well to not die so far.
Ooh. Yeah, the way this actually started with this initial confrontation to now flip it to a point where Raisy is the one with 25 HP is very impressive. Oh, but here comes the double LG! Oh. The rocket on the way out, Zoo!
The shotgun did some work, but it couldn't do all of it. Cooller's going to win the race over here. There's going to be chase with super shotgun. Raisy's going to be able to get another kill. 6-4. Timings are getting totally thrown off with 5 seconds until heavy. Raisy looks like he wants to aggress onto this. There's nails to watch out for, and Cooler is able to just stay on the podium in order to pick up the item.
This could be incredible. If Raisy can keep this up here with a 2-frag lead, he could be the one giving himself such a large lead when it comes down to the rankings. And that is another frag found, as everything has been going his way when it comes down to the dual will damage.
LG's not been bad. Oh, that follow-up rocket. Did not think that was going to be able to land. Now we've got the heavy. Cooler's control of the heavy has been so immaculate up until this point. Now the fact that Raisy's getting hold of it too. What a shotgun switch on top of that. Perfect understanding of Cooler's stack.
5-minute warning.
That was really, really nice. Just so calm from him as well, not even busting a sweat right now in some of the fights he's going for. Has to take down the turret, will deal with that tantrum of a turret that can come through to try and slow him down. The dual wield on the rocket, just bombarding as the Hellion salvo will scatter around Cooler and then leave him busted in pieces.
Cooler's been very desperate for the heavy armor, and I think it's cost him quite dearly on a number of occasions now. There's going to be one more kill. Cooler is trying to do damage and invest his life into maybe picking up a fortuitous situation later. It's not working out. He's trying one more time, but Mega is going to be picked up before he can get that finishing blow. Good LG from Coollerz. An altitude wield.
Heavy amount of damage done, but 2 guns is always going to be better than 1.
What, in shotgun, pigeon, air?
Shotgun pigeon?
Pheasant, whatever we were talking about.
Oh. I was going to say, that's not how you play rock, paper, scissors.
That's actually the new game.
Yeah, pigeon beats rock.
Wait, does it?
It's probably not, actually. Oh, lightning gun definitely beats Cooler, though.
Rock definitely beats pigeon. Oh, this is Cooler now being himself, I think. Oh, right by his feet. 10 frag difference. Did not expect this again. We get some mad surprises through a lot of these series. I don't know what my predictions look like, but I can't imagine they look good at the moment.
You were doing all right up until this one.
I was doing all right until the game started today.
Well, Cooler finally getting a resurgence here. Again on 5 HP. The second time he has survived with 5 HP into this match, but you can't really survive that as every single bit of his body has now been imploded.
Yeah, normally he's got access to those 225s, but when Raisy attacks from that area, your options are limited.
Ooh, Cooler jumping straight into the stream. They're going to cross the streams with the LG, though, and it'll actually be the pepper spray of bullets that riddle Raisy and leave him down on the ground.
I'd like Raisy to chill. I know this is an insane lead already, but I'd like him to chill a little bit for a moment and just get to sort of 8.5 minutes in and then coast.
Well, just play with the lead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a sort of safer way to do things. He's not afraid. He's obviously very confident with his lead. I mean, rightfully so. But when you've got these games on the line, you've got to take everything so seriously, in my opinion. And sometimes when you kind of let go of the gas pedal, then that's when those miracle comebacks start to make their way. And we've been seeing some crazy things like that happening in... oh god, the tower kill. Seeing things like that happening in challenges where we've seen some really close upsets because someone with an 8 frag lead thinks it's enough to just mess around.
I think it's also one of those, though, where Raisy's the type of player, if he sees himself in a scenario where he can get more frags for the global ranking, which at the end of the day could come in hand in terms of a head-to-head, right? If it's like, this could literally save my seeding, he might try and go for it.
True. There's definitely an argument for it, but I think, for me, it's always the wins come first. You just want to secure it. And right now, it's definitely secure. Like, it doesn't matter anymore for him.
No, you got minute 30. It's basically done. You know, take Cooler out of the oven, he's done.
Cooler just got pretty dismantled over here. He had very good control of the heavy, which is where a lot of his early success stemmed from. But then he was kind of stubbornly trying to hold on to it, and he ended up, I think, dying 3, 4 or more times. And if he didn't die, he often just lost control at that point because of the amount of damage that Raisy was doing. I don't think that Raisy's LG has been as good as Coollerz, but he has had 2 of them sometimes.
Which does help.
Yeah. I mean, there's not been too much turret damage on this occasion. Raisy's been very good playing around it, and maybe Cooller's placement of it could have been a little bit more annoying. Oof. Finds him in the end.
Yeah, it kind of just destroyed everything in his path until eventually it connected to kill him. Cooler straight back through as he is going to nail Raisy against the ground. At this point, though, it's literally 20 seconds between these two and 10 frags that is the huge gap in terms of kills. Raisy looks like he's secured it and will walk away with a 2-1 win over Cooler here in the series and get himself that 4th win on the board, meaning that he is going to be moving into a great spot in the rankings.
And you know what's hilarious is that it's music to Wenger's ears.
Yep.
This is exactly what he wanted to see, and somehow it's totally worked out for him. This builds up the storyline for him in his Tox game coming up, that if he can get that 3-0, he is looking to come in for such a strong week 10. So yeah, really interesting. Raisy, though, just for that immediate matchup, Raisy finally getting a win on Cooler, and he gets the most recent one. You're as good as your last match, and he gets the most recent victory against Cooler after Cooler decimated the first time this season, got a pretty convincing win in the second time this season, and I gotta say, after map 1, this was really convincing for Raisy.
It's also just the manner in which he approached this entire game. Like, as you said, there was no holds barred. He was going in, he was slamming Cooler with tables, with ladders, with chairs, anything he could get his hands on. He just did not turn down the pace, and it worked tremendously.
So, which is funny because I thought that was part of the reason he was failing in some previous matchups, because he had this one-size-fits-all approach. He would aggress, he'd invest. Okay, I've done damage off him, I'm going to spawn with a nice stack, and then I'm going to continue to aggress and get kills. Like, his aim wasn't really keeping up with the pace that he wanted to play at, and I really think that his aim was hurting a lot in map 1, but he was making it work here. Like, his mechanics were at enough level that it fit with his strategy.
It definitely did, and I mean, if you can back it up, right? If you can talk the talk, but also walk the walk and hit the flicks, then you're going to win it. And he did just that, which is huge. That is really going to shake things up. And as you said, this is now when our last series of the night gets even more tied to it.
Yeah, exactly. Wenger versus Tox is going to be spicy, and it's so nice for people to get to see Tox as the sort of highlight match of EU CIS.
Yep.
Don't forget, we've got the Americas that will come up shortly after that game, where we go through another leaderboard itself. But I think the story now has been constructed for Wenger. Is he going to be able to make it come true?
Yeah, this one is going to be an absolute slobber knocker. Keep it locked. When we come back, as Zoot just said, we're going to have Tox, the man, the myth, the speedy legend himself, facing off versus Wenger, who right now has a cheesy grin on his face based off what we just saw there in that previous series. We'll be back after the break.